It's match week 27, and we are live we're going to try this. I guess there's a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to try going live on Sundays at 3 going forward, and then the podcast will hit platforms on Monday. So trying to sort of standardize our process. That said, no Luke today. I think his in-laws are in town, and I'll not comment on that any further in case they have family who listens to this. But yeah, Derek, how are you, man? How was your weekend? How has it been going? I guess it's not entirely over yet.
I'd like to say it was productive, except I still haven't gotten my my Stream Deck to work. So,
what did you do?
It's a great question. What did I do? I don't know. I feel like I took care of some chores. I don't know.
Yeah, which ones?
I reset the bindings on my ski boots.
Gonna audit. Yeah, you going? Are you going skiing again? I saw the notes that you had thrown together, and I was like, there were like 4 things on there, and I was like, fuck.
I just jot down things, throughout the week that I talk about, and then you come in, you tell me all the things I have to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I did watch some soccer, obviously, and then also F1 restarted. It looks like it picked up where it left off last season, where it's just like kind of watching sandpaper for an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what's going on, which is sad because during COVID, F1 kind of kept me entertained, as you know, but I don't know. Maybe it'll get entertaining again one day. I don't know.
Yeah. I think your mic levels are a little quiet. I can fix that in post, but for the purpose of the live stream, you're coming in a little quiet still.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, we have you heard of the Inn at Little Washington?
No. It sounds like there should be a Washington Inn, but I don't know what the Inn at Little Washington is.
So there is it was mine and Shannon's 4th anniversary, not like a milestone, but yeah, I was setting something up for us to do for the anniversary, and yeah, it's this
this is the one in Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are like 3 restaurants in the country that have, 13 restaurants in the country that have 3 Michelin stars, and that's one of them, and it's like right by us. It's obviously very difficult to get in there, but if you book a room at the adjoining inn, then it guarantees a dinner reservation. So
status.
we went hiking, and then arrived at the inn yesterday. So this was my concern when one, Luke is out. 2, I saw 4 things in the notes, and I had been gone all weekend. Like, I would have, Luke being here this weekend would have been great to sort of help carry the load. So then I was like, fuck, I've got to cram in 3 hours. I have to watch as much EPL as I possibly can, because I don't know how much Derek's been able to watch. So anyway, a funny anecdote though with this with the inn is we like showed up at the inn after the weather yesterday was terrible, so we went on this hike. It had been raining for
there was
like an inch and a half of rain over the 24 hours like prior to us starting the hike, and Shannon just like had no chill, like just like march straight through like streams and shit. She's like covered in mud, and we show up at the inn to check in, and it's like she doesn't even want to, like, we walk into the inn, and I go to the front desk, and I'm like, hey, we have a room, and I'm also in like I don't know.
Yeah, there's not a lot of crossover probably between the demographic of people staying at this inn and people trudging 10 or 20
Yeah.
miles through the woods and
Through the rain.
fjording streams and shit.
Yeah. And so I had hiking stuff on. The room wasn't ready.
Did they tell you
Shannon
to wait outside?
Shannon did that herself. That's where I'm going with this. Like, she walked in, for some reason she's holding a pair of boots. Like, I don't know why. Like, she just they valet the car. It's mandatory that you valet the car because they take your bags into the room for you as part of the whole thing. And she she for some reason, the one thing she maintained in her possession was a pair of boots. And we entered the hotel, and then she just stood in the doorway, like she was feral or something, like covered in mud. And I had to be like, it's okay, you can come in.
Maybe she was expecting the concierge to take care of the boots or something, you know?
No,
this is a 4-star, 5-star place, right?
So our room isn't ready, and so they're like, we'd like to show you to our afternoon tea, and they have like a sort of like fancy afternoon tea with like the tiered like the British do, you know, the tiered plate like thing with the scones and whatever. And we're like, okay. And so Shannon's like walking covered in mud, walking through like what some publications call like the a top 5 in the world restaurant, covered in mud. And they seat us with like all these fancy people, like literally right in the middle of the dining room, which is it's a sunroom, and the sun is just like at this point, like, it's cleared up and the sun is like beaming right down on us into Shannon's eyes. And so she pulls out from her purse, which is like, her purse is disintegrating because she'll never replace anything unless it's like
I'm
it
imagining
absolutely
her
can't be
sack
used
or something
anymore
at this point.
Yeah, so she pulls out these like purple like sunglasses that she got for free at one of her 100-milers, and it too is like they are also falling apart, like they're low quality,
like novelty sunglasses.
Yeah. Like they're like $2
This looks
novelty
like the right menu
sunglasses.
for these. Let me flip these on.
She throws those on, and we had this like fancy British tea. I don't know. It was all like very hilarious to me, and then like they finally showed us to our room, and the floor is covered for some reason with a white carpet, like a white rug. So it's like hardwood floor with this. They chose a white rug to put all the furniture and stuff on top of. And so she like walks in still covered in mud and is like they seem to be required to show us around the room. And she had to just stand again in the doorway.
I'll be over here, guys.
She was caught between like, am I gonna in front of this staff member just like destroy this rug with the mud and shit on my shoes? Or like option 2 was she removes the shoes and her socks are like soaked from like the hike itself, and so she just awkwardly stood there still holding her boots in her hands. It was, I don't know. It was
this is why the loyalists in Virginia didn't want to be part of our revolution in the first place, because our kind coming into their establishments. Yeah.
But the dinner was great. It was all very, very nice, very, very fancy.
What was the
nice
wine
stuff.
selection like? What was your wine selection?
So I don't know wine the way you do, but I did.
You mean being able to read the label?
I mean, I always do the wine pairings. I'm just like, I don't just fucking bring it. I don't know. But I did read that it's like Wine Spectator or something, some magazine, like they're considered to have one of the like greatest wine selections in the world. So I think it's pretty good, but I didn't order anything specifically. I just let them bring whatever they had paired. So yeah, it was a good weekend. And then we got back here and I immediately crammed EPL content, and I got through most of it, at least in the extended highlights. How do you want to attack this? Weirdly, the one game I think I have next to no content on is Brentford Chelsea. They like declined to do an extended highlights of this match.
Well,
It seems.
I mean, I didn't want to talk about that game anyways, so
Yeah,
that's
I saw
that's
in the
perfect.
car. In the car, I watched this until we lost service and got to the mountain. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I
I
saw
just assumed we
Nico's.
didn't have to talk about it because Luke wasn't here today. But I think
No, we
I
we have
was
to talk about this.
I was fairly concerned after the Leeds game because while we won that game, again we conceded 2 goals to Leeds.
Mhm. And then concern set in this season. For the first
Well,
time, you were
I
like,
was
"I'm
talking all kinds
concerned."
of nonsense about being optimistic last week, if you remember that.
You were,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
oh, okay.
About like
I
the
don't
Premier
recall
League
that
standings.
even.
Yeah. No, I was. Yeah, I don't know
You-
what. I drank a lot last weekend, but I was sober at that moment. I think. I drank less this weekend, and maybe that's where the clarity came from. Is like, yeah, we're really in trouble. I mean,
Yeah.
there were some good goals scored in that Leeds game, but I don't think you can give up 2 goals to Leeds, and then you see that kind of play out against Brentford. I mean, we, a couple of things, I guess. We continue to kind of lack the conviction to win games against lesser opponents, and this one's a good example of that. And I don't know that it comes down to talent as much as it does just the form that we're in and kind of the fortitude of this team, to be honest, to concede 2 to Brentford and 2 to Leeds. Dizazi is an example, right? Will come up and he's had the best one, probably in my opinion, the best defensive performance of the year against City. And then he follows it up with, I don't know, cumulatively 40% passing out of the back in the next 2 games, and then
Yeah.
scores a goal, right? So,
Mhm.
I guess it's a little bit Harry Maguire-esque in some aspects, but he just continues to be all over the damn place. And then you could say the same about these other guys, whether it's Caldwell or Caicedo, that are just kind of up and down, Chilwell underperforming.
Yeah.
But like,
So
and then Sterling, comes on, and it's like I want to shut the TV off because he's just dribbling around the ball. And like, I contrast
yeah.
it with the United game today. Like, at least those 2 teams were playing soccer. Like, it doesn't go to Doku, and Doku doesn't spin around in circles like Anthony or Sterling. Like, he passes the ball to somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's a well-coached team, right? So like ultimately how much of this comes like Pap got rid of Sterling for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like that like hero ball shit like is not conducive to um the amount of control that is necessary to be exerted on the game to succeed in the PL right now, right? Like and Sterling is he's almost he's like the opposite of control. Like he's just gonna like the ball comes to his feet and he's just gonna try to take on
Right.
whatever's in front of him, and he's probably gonna lose the ball, right? Um I was watching something about Chelsea and how they're like among the highest possession teams in the PL this season, and that like blew my mind because I feel like we give the ball up really easily, sort of all over the place. Like Caicedo is prone to that. Sterling does it all the time because he wants to do it all, go it alone all the time. Um, in this game specifically, though, worse than Disasi's like the potential like issues with Disasi's passing and like whether or not we were, he's like a ball playing defender in that style type thing, which like seems like he can be because sometimes he seems to do all right as like a right fullback, like bombing down the sideline. But anyway, where I'm going with this is the first goal that Brentford scored. Who was that? It was Mads excuse me, Rorslev. He Disasi had an opportunity to just clear that out, and I mean, it was like a really sort of dysfunctional
Right.
goal that was scored that got Brentford back into it, and um, yeah, Disasi like really like that. That to me was worse than his like distribution issues, I guess. So this game ended 2-2. You know, Chelsea also showed up in a new formation with Chalaba as like one of three center back. Like they did a play to three at the back,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. Like I don't think that's a formation that we've used yet this season.
Because our center backs are so good, you want to have all three of them out there.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we used this formation, I think, was under Tuchel, and Tuchel employed it because he wanted the good parts of Thiago Silva, but wanted to protect him from being isolated in four at the back system, where he's one of the two center back pairing.
Well,
And
theoretically, it opens up the wings for the fullbacks too, right? Since we're
yep,
playing a forward.
yeah, but yeah, we matched Brentford's lineup with Palmer and Jackson playing up top. Jackson could have like I mean missed an open net, like like did all the work and then just like blew it.
I have
Is that what
blacked
you
that
sent
out of
me a
my
text?
memory.
You sent me a text that you were like, I almost took apart my elliptical or something. I almost like
That's
smashed
putting
my
it
elliptical
lightly.
to be.
I thought
Was
about. I
that?
was on the elliptical at the time, and I was looking around for something to hit, and then caught myself, and I was like, all right, well, I guess this is how the rest of this season's gonna go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Since this is your guy.
I mean, he should have scored that, but then he did score. Like he scored. Yeah. I mean, he comes back and scores. What was that in? Was it a cross from Gusto? I'm trying to
Yep.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gusto dropped a dime.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Gusto
Jackson did well to score there, but yeah.
Gusto is more and more he is not Reece. If Reece James comes back in anywhere near the form that he was in, like during our CL winning season, let's say, Gusto, you have to drop Gusto for James, right? But that's like a crying shame, like because Gusto's been so good. I know that we've used him on the left for a couple of games, and I don't know if that means Chile gets dropped for Gusto and we have him like cutting in on his right from the left wing back or left fullback position. Yeah, I don't know. And then yeah, Palmer probably should have scored from what I saw. Got an assist. Caicedo looked okay. And that's kind of it. Like this was a pretty like toothless performance, and this is a game that Chelsea need to be winning. And then I did see like some snippets from Pacha's press conference. The fans were they were chanting like Maurizio's a cunt or whatever. Like they were unhappy. They were chanting. They want Marino, which I think is like insane. Or no, they were calling Bowley that, and then
they're tired of Bowley and they're tired of Pochettino.
Yeah, they're not feeling the project right now. The rebuild, yeah,
it's weird, like we're talking about when we talk about any of these sports and these teams, right? We're talking about a game that we're passionate about, but ultimately it's a business and it's a fan sport, right? Which lends to some weird dynamics. And I don't know that we joke about Tottenham being focused on the business aspect of it and nothing else, right? But they've rebuilt that team in the eyes of their fans, at least, so their fans can get behind it even without Kane. And we've failed to do that. But I don't know that, I don't know how much of that was neglecting the fan aspect in favor of business, or it just I think it's more so just mismanagement in general. And I get I get upset about stuff, but I get more upset about a team like United who's putting promoting people with poor ethics, to put it lightly, more than I get upset about the product Chelsea's putting out there. But it's certainly frustrating. Just not like, going on TV and ranting about the coach. Frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I could go either way at this. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets sacked. I'd still don't think it's the right move. I think we need to stick with a coach for a bit and let it play out rather than just changing coach time after time, especially given, as we've talked about ad nauseum, the injury history and availability of the players that are there. But there's definitely instances you can point to where he's could have made some better decisions tactically and from a player standpoint.
Yep. That sort of echoes what I said in the car. We were talking about Chelsea. It was like a 2-hour drive out to where we were this weekend. And I said basically the same thing to Shannon. Like, we can't keep swapping. Like, you can't buy a team of like 20-year-olds and then just constantly swap the manager in and out. Like, it's never going to come together if they do that. Apparently they did an exhaustive search before they settled on Pochettino, and like, you got to let him see it out. Like, you need to give him 2 or 3 seasons. And his tactics need to evolve. Like, the PL is obviously different from when he was coaching Spurs, and he never won anything with Spurs. But I think that he's a good enough man manager where if he evolves his tactics like over the summer, he has the full complement of Chelsea players next season. Hopefully a striker, like a true number 9 that is proven. Then we like see where it goes. He's got 1 more year left on his deal, but I don't even want to see him swapped out this summer. Like, there has to be some consistency here.
I would agree with that. And to your earlier point, I was looking at they're 6th in possession in the Premier League, which is pretty good. That's about again, like, I think there's been some mental lapses, I think, that have led us to not be at that as high as we could be in the table. And that's what really has got to get fixed. And with that possession, we don't have the players that the teams above us do available, or maybe in general, to execute on that possession, right? And like, we're still playing Sterling a ton of minutes. We don't have a striker. There's Chilwell isn't playing well. There's a lot of reasons why that makes sense, but doesn't. And then the playing out of the back, like, I don't know. We got to see if these guys can develop to do that, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say. Chelsea will finish the season mid-table, probably.
Yeah, it's all about the FA Cup now, right?
Yeah, which they won, and they play Leicester next, which they should also win. But I don't know, they'll hit a wall in there at some point. The saving grace for Chelsea really this season has been that their draw in these 2 domestic cups have been really really favorable for them.
Yeah.
They have had a pretty easy go. I mean, they had to beat Villa, and they did that pretty decisively away in the return fixture, or the reverse fixture. When they had to do the replay.
They called it, I guess, a replay. Yep.
Yeah. So that was like impressive, and it is. I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect from a team full of children. Like, there are ups and downs. They're gelling. They're learning to deal with pressure. Some of them are learning to be to live in a new country, learning new languages. Like, this was insane. This whole we're gonna just deconstruct a Champions League winning squad and replace it with children instantly, like within a year, gone. And it's something that I would bet if they could do it again, they would have rolled it out more gradually. And there's no guarantee that this works. That's the scary thing, is there's like zero guarantee that this works. So the Chelsea board has claimed and would claim that They have like internal metrics that show that Chelsea should be 5th in the league right now, and they would be happy with that. But that's not fucking reality.
Must,
like that's not what has happened.
Tell my superiors that I'm jealous of private equity holders, because I'm jealous of the level of delusion that you can live life with. And I guess that kind of money buys you the ability to live those delusions, but yeah, it doesn't
$9 billion, $240 million.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the Swiss here. We're talking about American private equity holders. But yeah, it's. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I guess there are some positives
anything
in terms of the talent, right? But it is what it is for now.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough Chelsea talk for one.
2 episodes.
I don't know why we fucking started this podcast this season.
Hold on, I take some depression meds real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like mercifully we ran out of service. Because like from what I saw in this match, in the Chelsea match, like even though it ended 2-2, like Chelsea did not look good. What I saw, they weren't like controlling the match. Like it's I don't know, man. They did like that's the last thing I'll say is in their defense, that was the highest velocity of matches that they've had this season, I think, because they
for depth and player pool, right?
Yeah. So like I don't know, they could have been just shattered. Who knows? But yeah. All right, Tottenham 3, Crystal Palace 1. Palace opened the score sheet in this one with a really beautiful free kick, glorious free kick from Eze, who I think this was his first time back in the squad since an injury that he picked up. I just the free kick was just like sublime. I know the announcers, at least what I watched, that I saw the extended highlights for this. Announcers were just losing their fucking mind over it, and rightfully so. Timo Werner, he eventually gets on the score sheet, but he missed some like they were just feeding it. It was almost like Palace had a strategic decision that it was unnecessary to mark Timo Werner. He had so many opportunities. I hadn't looked at the who scored for this.
They let him take 4 of a total of 14 shots for Tottenham. So yeah, he got some away.
Yeah, I mean they were finding him open, and I think the goal he scored, it was Johnson, who came on and got 2 assists in this one. He was coming off the wing, and it was like the Palace defender could have just cleared it out. It was like an even worse version of what Disasi did. And yeah, Johnson basically had a free run at the goal and then passed it across the net to an open Timo Werner, who finally gets I think it was his first goal for Tottenham. Yeah, I mean it has to be. I think it was his first PL goal this season, and Tottenham hasn't been in any other competitions because they're fucking trash. But
do you think it's weird that they started Timo instead of Richarlison? Unless he was hurt.
Richarlison's injured, so he's got a knee injury, and that's why they had Heung-min Son playing up top. Yeah. Sonny scored toward the end. The Butcher of North London strikes again. He is, I mean, this is covered at length, but watching his like two-footedness is really impressive to watch. He's really just dangerous coming from any angle. It felt like Tottenham, I hadn't looked at the overall match statistics here, but from what I watched, it looked like Tottenham was like really good for 70,
almost 80% of the possession in this game. Which,
it looked like a firing squad, and it was it blew my mind that Palace got on the score sheet first. Palace really not a good team, and a very bad team without Elise available.
Yeah. Frankly, I had taken Tottenham to cover 2 in this one, and they had no problem doing that
Yeah, I
despite
think that
giving up
means
that goal.
you made. I don't. I don't gamble. I leave the gambling to you guys. I think that
I
means
bet on
that
them
you
I
you
bet
made
on them to
money.
win
Yeah,
by 2 goals at least. They did.
yeah.
Palace just isn't very good, and you
They're
saw that
really
in this
bad,
one.
man. I don't know. There was nothing else that really stood out to me. It looks like Mateta had a fucking nightmare of a game. 5.9 on who scored. Um, yeah, Madison. He looked like he was balling out. Kulusevski, he he didn't come up in any of the highlights. I don't know. He's like anti Hyunmin Son. He's like so one-footed.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Anyway, did you have any other thoughts on this? Did you catch this one?
No, I caught the highlights, I think, to some extent, but that one played out exactly as I was expecting it to. Frankly, I
Yeah.
don't see
Yeah, I
Crystal
mean,
Palace
yep.
going anywhere.
Yeah, dude, Timo is we've talked about this a lot. He's I don't know. I don't know what you do with Timo Werner. I have no idea. I mean, he scored in this one, so how critical can I be? But he he should have had a hat trick to my mind from what I saw, at least. So, and then we move to Newcastle 3, Wolves 0. Did you catch any of this one?
I did not.
Okay. Um, Yeah, I mean, this Newcastle just beat the bricks off of Wolves from what I saw. I'm checking. I saw the highlights. Livermento scored like a big effort goal toward the end of the game. Dubravka had some in pretty phenomenal saves. This is a Wolves team that's been overperforming, and a Newcastle team that is sort of underperformed.
Yeah.
I mean, Newcastle was home, and St. James Park is not an easy place to play. But yeah,
It's weird to see
Isaac,
the Wolves not get on the score sheet here, given how,
right?
to your point, how they've been playing and they've been scoring, right?
Yeah, they didn't play. I didn't catch if he was injured. I don't know. What's his name? Can't think of his name right now.
Other forward.
They're forward, yeah. What's his name? Anyway, he must be injured. He's not even in the squad at all, from what I can see. Looks like Sa had a. Oh yeah. Sa had a error leading to a goal.
But they
Gordon
actually had
balled
more
out.
of the possession in this one, which is interesting. But
Yeah. Newcastle got on the board really early, like 13, 14 minutes in, and if I recall, yeah, 14 in. Isaac scoring a fairly easy goal to open things up. And yeah, Newcastle win. And let's see what's up next. Forest and Liverpool. This was interesting. I felt, pulling up the match center now. I felt like, wow, so 70% possession to Liverpool. This match ended 0, Nottingham Forest 0, Liverpool 1. It felt like, man, so 8 total shots for Forest to Liverpool's 22. It felt like there were times where Forest could have easily sniped this, gotten the 3 points, but yeah, it just wasn't meant to be.
we've kind of seen that over and over again with Liverpool, right? Like these close games, or they go down, or
I
they
mean, they
they
won it
take a
in the
red.
final minute of
Yeah,
extra
they won
time.
this one the final minute, right? And so it's really, I think it's really contrasting the way in which Arsenal and City are winning games versus the way Liverpool's won games this season. But ultimately, they've done better in the points side of things to this point, and it doesn't seem like it's stopping. Like
Yeah,
it's not luck, right? But they can win games that are this razor tight.
yeah. I thought Cho, like his stock's got to continue it's just continuing to rise. He's playing better and better by the week, which it's a bummer he's not a Chelsea player anymore. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Well,
I
who
don't
would
know
have
if he
guessed
ever
that
would
he'd
have been
stay
good.
healthy for more than 2 games?
Yeah. But I mean, he's looking really good on the ball. He's distributing well. He could have scored in this. Had a fairly good opportunity to bag a goal. But yeah, I mean, I felt like this could have gone either way, and the agent of chaos that is Nunes just in
Yeah.
the last. I mean, it was like over the added time. I think it was at +9.
Maybe not the
right?
hero Liverpool
+10,
deserves, but the
or
hero
no,
they
no, no,
need.
+9. Sorry, what?
Maybe not the hero that Liverpool deserves, but the hero they need.
Yeah,
over
yeah.
and over
I mean,
again.
he's the number of shots that he takes and
Yeah.
that Liverpool takes, like they're just letting it rip. 22 shots in this match. Like, let's compare that. Let's see what City did. We can talk about them next, but in the Manchester derby, City took.
They had a fair amount of shot. They had a lot of errant shots.
Oh my
From my
God.
perspective, I thought
City took 27 shots.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's that high, but yeah.
United took 3.
Yeah, well, yeah, that tells the story of that.
Yeah. So this one ended City 3, United 1. United, I think the statistic or the factoid was that it was the first time in nearly a decade that United went into the locker room at halftime against City, leading the match. Rashford scores, right?
Yeah, Rashford hit an absolute fucking banger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
assisted by Bruno Fernandes out of anyone who like looked at McTominay running up through a lane to the through the back line and turned around, passed the ball back to Rashford instead. Very clearly the right decision.
yeah. Foden is a pretty good soccer player. What do you think of this Phil Foden guy?
I think you might have been right about your assessment there earlier in the season. Yeah, I mean he's crossing it well. He's scoring.
He's everywhere.
A ton of build up. I mean, he's doing everything right now.
They've got him lined up on the right, at least in this formation that I'm looking at. But he's everywhere. Like the goal, the second goal he scored was coming off the left flank, like cutting in on and he like basically passed it across the net into the far side from coming off the left. Yeah, I mean, he is in some run of form right now, man. Rodri was balling today. Haaland got a lead goal, which I think it's been a minute. Silva just looks so composed. This team has like little to no weakness, which is not revolutionary to say, but man,
that's what I was going to say. It's going to be interesting now. Now he's going to try and tweak the formation around to get all these guys on the field next to each other. That's an imposing squad right there.
Yeah. Which United is not. I guess Onana, I mean, Onana's match rating is a 7.6.
Yeah,
and
I thought he had
3 goals in
time saves.
So he had a game. Like he played well for a keeper that let 3 in. Amrabat is not up for it in the PL. He is dog shit. I think he let it was an error from him, right? Like he sort of dwelled on the ball a little bit and it got nicked off him by someone. I forget who then passed it to Haaland and Haaland did Haaland things. But yeah, I mean, virtually any meaningful statistic here, City dominated. I got home in time to watch the back half of this match. And from what I saw, I thought Ake looked really good, really involved. He was bombing down the wing. He was available, he was just very positionally aware, and he stood out to me as someone who was kind of like in all the right places in the second half. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, geez, I just hit my mic. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be it's fun, right? Arsenal, who plays tomorrow, so we won't be discussing that match this week. Them, Liverpool, and City, like this.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a really close race. And who would you say is playing better of the three right now? If you had to pick, like, who do you think is going to come out?
I think
on top.
I think in terms of form and who I'm still predicting come out ahead is City. I don't know. I'm becoming less and less convinced every day that Arsenal's going to catch Liverpool. But it is very wide open. I mean, it's more my conjecture than anything else. I just kind of see City marching up to the top like they did last season, and nobody in their way now that De Bruyne is healthy. Or I should say, De Bruyne is healthy, Doku's healthy. They've got they've got a healthy squad.
Since returning, he's played 3 matches and assisted. Sorry, 12 matches and assisted 12 goals.
Who is that?
De Bruyne. I
didn't realize he had that many assists.
Yeah, I read that. That could be wrong. I think I read that somewhere.
He looks. I think what stood out to me in this game is he looked really good on the ball. There were times where he took on like a 6th person too many, but athletically, in from a form standpoint, like he seems like he's fully back to me.
Yeah, I'm like trying to pull it up right now.
And like with Foden playing the way he is, like De Bruyne is not going to get as many goals scored, nor does he need to. But he does make this team that much more dangerous.
Yeah. So in the PL, he's featured in 2, 4, 6, 7 matches, and he has a goal and 4 assists in those. I think what I saw was that he has 12 assists in all competitions, which in the CL, I think it was the CL this week,
where Haaland,
or maybe it was last week. Haaland got 5 goals, and I'm sure
probably had 4 assists.
De Bruyne had a bag full of assists off that. So that might be padding that. But yeah, I mean, he's back. Haaland is starting to find the net again after being injured and kind of rounding back into form. I guess.
Think the takeaway, right, is it's shaping up to be a very entertaining finish, a better one than last year, I think, for the top 3, which is good for the league and I think good for the fans.
Yeah, agreed. I think Arsenal will win based on what I'm seeing.
That's just because that's who you picked in the preseason.
No, they're just coming. Like whatever happened in the desert during their break.
What the hell did they go in a tent and smoke some?
I don't know, man. I think they're out of Arteta put them all on fucking HGH and they've since they came back, man. They have just been killing. They have not just been winning; they've been eviscerating everyone they have played. And that's why I just think they are in some form right now. Like, to my mind, they're the most impressive Premier League team right now, and it's not even close, which says a lot because I also think City and Liverpool are playing phenomenal soccer, but Arsenal are just beating the absolute shit out of everyone that shows up. Yeah. I don't know. What else do we have here? I thought that I did catch some of the Burnley-Bournemouth match today.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it was the only one on, right? So, yeah,
I did have that on the background. I mean, I don't know. Burnley, it looks lifeless at this point.
Yeah,
they're.
They're not good, man. It's like they lost 0-2 to Bournemouth, who also like aren't the greatest team, but they are starting to like put it together. And they have some promising players, but I see Alex Scott. I forgot he came on. So Alex Scott's like finding fitness from his, I think, several injuries. But yeah, ultimately, it just went how it was supposed to go. Burnley, it's really a matter of whether they finish last or second to last. Shannon is, in shambles,
in denial.
week after week.
Out of denial into grief yet, or is it
somewhere
in the middle?
If I think she probably, I don't know. It's all.
She seemed like she was in the acceptance
I'll ask her.
phase
I'll come back
week.
next week with. Yeah. We'll have to have her on. We'll have her do a season review, a Burnley season review at the end of all of this.
Just grief counseling.
Have her call into the pod. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What have we've talked about? What would we name a section? It was like Feel the Burnley or something like that. If we did a segment with her. I would not watch that one if I am a casual soccer fan. Pretty boring. Not boring was the Luton Villa game. Did you happen to catch this one?
I saw some of the Watkins highlights.
He's a monster,
not much
man.
else of it.
He is he's so good. Yeah, what did he score the first two? I'm trying to remember.
The first two.
Yep.
Within 40 minutes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then who came on to score? Anyway, Morris and Chong on Luton pulled them back. So Watkins scored the first two goals. Morris and Chong, they brought Luton back into it level, and then it was very late, 89th minute. How do you say his name? Lucas Digne? I forget. I don't know how you say his last name. But he scored. I think it was, what was it? A header. I think Musa Diaby assisted it. Could be wrong there. But anyway, this was a fun match. Luton never gives up. They appear to be incredibly well coached. They actually had more shots in this one. I mean, they were at home. They're just a physical team, and Doughty, it has some left foot, man. Like I think it was a set piece assist to Morris was as inch perfect a pass as you can place. It was insane, this set piece. I think both of these teams are a lot of fun to watch. I hope Luton manages to stay up because they deserve it.
Yeah.
And maybe they can get some stadium upgrades.
Feels like a shame. It feels like it'll be a shame if they don't stay up. But
I'm really rich.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Kaminsky. That was the other note. Luton's goalie. He made some great, like, this game could have been like 6-2. He made some crazy saves in this one.
Belgian. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a game for him. He really put in a performance in this one. Yeah, I don't know. That kind of wraps it. Everton, West Ham. I don't know. It wasn't that interesting. West Ham 3, Everton 1. Fulham 3, Brighton 0. Beto took a laughable penalty in Fulham 3, Brighton 0. I might have misspoke, but those were the other two fixtures that were played that we haven't covered. Beto took in the Everton fixture, really bad penalty. He did finish he took a header off a cross later in the match. Beto, who started because I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he has just not been in good form. He's not been scoring. Suchek, his finish was really it was pretty special. So that's something I would check out if you're like just looking for some goals to watch.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to me in the Brighton game. What pops is the amount of possession they had again, and then not scoring, and just it seems like they don't have that attacking presence that they were able to pull together earlier in the season.
Ferguson, dude. So I made a note. My one note was like Evan Ferguson might not be it. Was the one thing I jotted down.
How much our opinions have changed there, right?
Yeah. I was so high on that dude early in the season, and there have been rumors that Chelsea want to buy Evan Ferguson. I will be fucking furious if they buy Ferguson for 100 million euros or whatever from Brighton. There was some weird story I need to look into regarding Brighton and Chelsea, where Chelsea like bought a couple of like 14-year-olds out of their youth system, and they were ordered by arbitrators to pay like several million pounds for each of them. And I don't know if I need to look into why arbitration was involved at all. It might be because of how young they are that it like goes to arbitration where they determine the fair market value of the player. I don't know. It might be like because they're underage or something. I don't know what was going on there. I need to dig into it, but that was a somewhat big story this week. Yeah. I think that's it for the PL. You had you wanted to talk about do some Yanks in the ranks type thing, like
I guess Yanks in the ranks. Yeah, I'm supposed to call it the segment names. It helps when I do that, right? So Yanks in the ranks this week. I guess we'll lead off with recognizing Johnny Cardoso for La Liga U23 Player of the Month. So that's kind of a big one there. I think that might have been the first time an American's won that particular award. So great to see, another young player doing well on a top five league. And I guess this one's more of a US centric thing than anything related to the national team. But I saw the DC United supporters came out and said they're protesting their support of the first 4 games of the season because of the preseason tour in, I believe it was Saudi Arabia, right?
Yep. It is Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the quote at the end here is meaningful, right? The club's stated values of being relentless, deliberate, and decisive must also include a deliberate respect for human rights. And so, I think this is a positive in my mind that they're taking a stand. I don't know how much effect it'll really have going on, either, acutely or in general, given the money that's being thrown around out there in Saudi Arabia in particular. But seems like an odd move for a U.S. team to kind of prioritize doing a preseason tour there anyway. Maybe they were heavily incentivized to come visit, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was a preseason partnership. Yeah, so they're doing a tour in Saudi. Pretty bizarre move. I don't know. Interestingly, I don't know if I should say this. So I like know someone who is an investor in DC United, and
of course you do.
and I'm actually getting lunch with them on Wednesday.
Maybe lunch conversation.
Maybe I'll ask about this. Yeah. Anyway, I'll keep it that high level, but it's at some point the tolerance for this shit. It's gonna.
Well, I thought what was interesting to me, right, is, and you called it out appropriately, I thought at the time, is that like it seems like maybe the Saudi experiment was slowing down, right, and like they won the World Cup, right, and like so they're going to let people like Benzema and stuff that were supposed to be ambassadors of this walk. But then you also highlighted that what I saw as well is that they're eyeing up a whole new batch of summer moves, and maybe that's all conjecture bullshit. Like, I don't think Kevin De Bruyne is ready to go play in Saudi Arabia, but
no way. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the actual read is on that. I thought that they were like you just said. My take on it was that they were trying to position themselves for the World Cup. And that was like mission accomplished, but they are like, I mean, they're trying to buy public favor through, and that won't go away, right? So the like hard charge at soccer might be over, but they're still gonna stay in the mix because all they have is oil and money and like slaves
right
over there, right?
Sports washing is core to their economic strategy over the next 10 years, right? So
yeah. It's really disgusting that none of that seems to get factored into these business decisions from the West.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of like whatever, it's money, and that's not an attitude that I subscribe to personally. But have you been to a United game ever? Those supporters go nuts. Like
I went to one with you.
Oh right, we did go to one. Do you remember the supporters with the drums and like it's crazy?
No,
yeah,
it's a good environment. That was a fun game.
It's pretty wild. Have you been to the new stadium since they redid? Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty small, which is good. It's like small in a good way. Like it makes the crowd feel bigger.
Is that Volkswagen sponsored or somebody else?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Volkswagen.
I know they're a big sponsor of DC United.
Yeah. Yeah, but and what's his name? Who's the guy who? Oh God,
maybe we need to go down there for some Yanks team building.
Yeah,
what it's
definitely.
I don't know how we're gonna get. We'd have to hire a driver for.
We wouldn't know if Luke's gonna come until like 5 minutes before we were.
What if we just rent the van, throw him in the van? With no less van,
just kidnap him
there, then drive him back and push him out in front of their place.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that would be cool. It would be really cool to go to a United game. I could probably get us potentially get us box seats for the connection I just mentioned.
Try not to offend any of the higher ups too much.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, Pulisic, that game. I did not watch this. Do you want to talk about this?
Did you watch the highlights?
No, I just saw the box score and I was like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Milan soccer, as we had talked about, right? And they've kind of fallen out of the race. I mean, Inter's just too far ahead. But they're still entertaining.
Lautaro Martinez is a machine.
Martinez is just killing it, right?
Nobody talks about him in the striker market. I wonder why.
That's a fair point. I don't know if it's
like it's all about Osimhen, really, but
I don't know why that is. Maybe something with the contract. I don't know, but
maybe,
or he's happy there, right? But yeah, this game it was even more of a shit show, and I watched the highlights. Like it was brought to my attention because Pulisic was publicized for having drawn 2 red cards. One of which, the first he drew, I think it was the first. I might get me again. So, anyways, one of them he drew because he was intentionally fouling. But that might be the second one, Guendouzi, I think, and like basically grabbed his arm with both hands and like pulled him back, but didn't like throw him to the ground. And like Guendouzi, being the piece of shit he is, just like lost it and like threw Pulisic to the ground, like right in front of him, and took a straight red. Pulisic did get a yellow for that. So that was one of them. And then the other one was like a weird play where the opposing, what's that, Lazio, right? Thought that the ball was out of play, but then like he knew it wasn't going to get called out of play or was concerned, so he pulled down Pulisic in a pretty violent manner, and threw him to, like, it was like a horse collar tackle, which
Oh,
I don't think much was made of that fact, right? But like it was an egregious foul and it was extremely dangerous just because of like the body motion of the way he was pulled down. Like Pulisic could have gotten hurt on this. And he was doing it just because he was being a lazy shit and like didn't want to play the ball because he thought it was out of bounds and wanted to make a big thing to the ref. But like, yeah, I mean, I didn't even see what the third red card. So there are 3 red cards in this game for
And another
Lazio.
one.
And so
And another one. And
Milan,
another one. And
yeah,
another
exactly.
one.
Yeah. Milan pulls out a pack of 3 red cards. So I don't know. You know, I
it
like
all happened like sort of late in the
Yeah.
match too, right? Yeah.
This match really came apart, and you know, there was I mean, I guess like there's a serious side to this too. Like I guess on one side, I obviously I like players that get under the other team's skin because that's what I do, and kind of and get after it, right? And I think
Yeah.
Pulisic, he's never backed down from anyone, right? He may not be the biggest guy, but like whether you see him against Mexico or you see him in Serie A, like he doesn't back down. Like he's a very confident guy, and like he's going to get in the mix. The opposing fans were probably sending him quite a bit of hate mail after the game, but you know, compared to the things that go on in Syria, I don't know whether it's any more or less egregious than what typically goes on there. Balotelli comes to mind in terms of rough treatment in that league, but Teo Hernandez came to his defense and said, "I'll be your security," essentially, and like I don't know, it's just a really wild game. Hopefully nothing like I don't know what was said to him, but I mean, hopefully cooler heads prevailed eventually, because I don't think like he like sure he provoked them, but like it wasn't anything egregious. Like he wasn't out there like Sergio Ramos and these guys.
Yeah, sorry. While you were one thing I didn't see. So Reina is not. He didn't even make the squad for Forest.
Yeah, he yeah, maybe we didn't get to that note last week, but I meant to bring
Is
it
he
up.
hurt?
Yeah, I mean, he's not been starting. He's barely been getting minutes. You're saying he wasn't named in the squad?
No, I don't see him in the squad at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that situation
This is like
just turned to shit. Further to shit.
Yeah. It's the situation is fucked. Also, why would anyone send a player on loan to Forest anymore? Like they're not gonna they don't use like Chelsea ran into this problem. With who was it? It wasn't Angelo. I don't know. I forget who we
Well,
loaned.
I guess you're looking at them and you're like, oh, this is a team in a relegation fight. Like he should get out there. But then you look and they're starting the has been Origi. And I guess they don't want to play him at a deeper spot. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Very, very odd. That's a bummer. He needs to be playing. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and then Turner on the bench too, right? So like all in all, not great.
Yeah.
For us there.
Well, Luke called that out last week. He doesn't think Turner's getting in that squad for a minute.
He might not. Yeah.
Yeah. All around bad news for US fans.
Yeah.
Also bad news, the women's team, you were hyping up that Mexico game.
Yeah, I'm really glad I stayed up to watch that.
That did not.
Oh no! We
did not go great.
Yeah, that's I guess my reaction to that game was kind of twofold. Like again, I saw some things I've liked in the minutes I've seen against Argentina and against Mexico, but at the same time, I think we need to lock in a starting 11 for one thing. Part of that comes down to coaching. Maybe you can make the argument that some of that's coming down to the players not asserting themselves and cementing themselves. But
Emma Hayes is not there yet, right?
What's that?
Emma Hayes is not there yet, right?
I don't think she played in this game.
No,
I
Emma
could
Hayes
be
is
wrong.
the new coach, right?
Oh, sorry.
Or am I
Okay.
wrong?
the
Yeah,
I
that would be
I
Emma Hayes, love her. That'd be dire circumstances if she was
where
playing.
did she come from? Prior to
Chelsea,
this,
Chelsea women's
she
team.
was the Chelsea. Yeah, I guess I reported that at some point, didn't I? So I wasn't. I haven't been impressed with her coaching in this cycle in terms of player rotation. Right?
So she's not there yet.
Yeah,
She's still coaching
and like
Chelsea. So I don't. They've got must have like an interim
okay.
coach.
Yeah, the interim coach has been throwing out basically new lineups every time, right? And like to me, like I think Shaw didn't start in that game. Is somebody who needs to be out there every single game in his example, right? I think Trinity
Yeah,
Rodman again probably gives us an X factor that probably needs to be out there every game. The I forget who the one shorter defender that's super fast probably needs to be out there every game unless we're playing against a super tall team. But like there wasn't. It'll be interesting to see how the tactics are tonight. So that game's at 8:15 Eastern time against Colombia, which I think is probably a very underrated game. You know, Colombia is a team that's been playing well going into the knockout stages. And while this is a quarterfinal, I think this is a really important game for the U.S. to put a strong showing and kind of figure out who most of their starting 11 should be moving forward. So we'll see. I mean, I don't feel great about it given the performance against Mexico.
yeah,
That is a good Mexico team. They scored some nice shots. I think they have a lot of technical skill on that team. But again, my opinion probably won't change anytime soon. That we are a very athletically gifted and concentrated team that should be able to exert ourselves on teams like Mexico.
yeah. Agreed. And then the last like giant story leaving the U.S. national teams this week was Pogba. Um, Pogba, who like the commentary around him this week was like a little confusing to me. People were acting like he's one of the greatest midfielders to ever play the
Mm,
sport. For me, it's like an obvious story of just squandered potential.
yeah.
He to my mind, he came in like real hot after United sent him to Juventus. I think the first time, uh, and he was a lot of fun to watch in the Italian league. And then once like immediately upon returning to United, just kind of fell off and um his career has never recovered. And there were always all these stories about like how are United going to get the best out of Pogba? Like manager after manager couldn't like really get him to perform. And yeah, the punchline here is that Pogba he was found to have uh, a steroid in his system, or like like often it's a substance that is indicative of steroid use and not like actual steroids. I don't know what the case was here. He has disputed this. The evidence is pretty obviously pretty damning, and he was given a 4-year ban, which he's I think 30, and that will effectively end his career. So like a very like sad end to his career. I mean, he did have a fairly decorated career. I think he in the World Cup winning squad for
So yeah,
France.
he won a World Cup. He won a year and he was also a U20 champion, well with France, and then also won the UEFA Nations League with France. In
Okay.
addition to a bunch of Italian Cups, a Europa League winner, English Cup winner. So yeah, I mean I mean depends how you feel about international soccer, but I mean he achieved it on the highest level, and like he was playing well
Yeah.
in that squad. So yeah, it's disappointing, and I don't know the penalties for this. Like again, I can't wrap my head around what goes on in terms of penalties for anything in soccer at this point. Like 4 years to me, like seems outrageous. Like in baseball, it's like 10 games, you're back. And granted, like that's a real clown of a sport compared to soccer, I guess. But what do you make of a 4-year ban here?
It's a lot. I don't know what the rules are though. I don't think he had like previous offenses with this, but what I did read was that they offered him if he admitted to it, they offered him like it was like a year and a half ban, I think. They offered him like a pretty significant reduction and he chose to fight it and lost, and so they gave him the 4 year. I think he'll appeal it and it'll be reduced, but yeah, part of that is on him. He had the option to accept a shorter ban and did not take it. So, yeah. Obviously probably wishes he could revisit that decision, but I don't know. This is where he is now.
Well, you kind of saw like I guess that was part of like the knock on him, right? And when you talk about like his career, like personality or mentally, whatever you want to call it, like attitude wise, he didn't seem like he was always in alignment with what was going on, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was coaches, whether it was fellow players, just the environments he was in. And maybe that played into just some more bad decision making layered on top of bad decision making here, and not accepting responsibility based on the evidence.
Dude, his move to United was like the biggest story of the year. Like he had like his own Twitter like emoji like they put on the platform. I remember on the heels of his transfer.
But they had a lot of extra developers back then.
Yeah, they did. They had a lot of extra developers back then. Did you see that Elon is like he's calling people out for dead naming Twitter?
Oh, okay.
Instead of calling them, so I just dead named Twitter.
Shit.
Yeah, that guy. What a piece of work. that Elon Musk. I think that wraps it for the week. We will. Did you have anything else before I go run through the like sort of housekeeping?
No, that's it.
All right, so we're going to be live on Sundays at 3 going forward. Hopefully Luke is back next week. Like I said, his in-laws were visiting this week. So next week we should have the full complement of football Yanks. And we are on social media. I don't know why I'm like my brain is seizing. We're on social media. We have a Discord. Derek and I chop it up in there quite a bit. Again, we'll be live streaming Sunday, and I'll update the show notes, or not the show notes, the episode description and stuff. But we will be live streaming Sundays at 3, and then this will be edited and it will hit podcasting platforms on Monday. And yeah, that's going to be the cadence going forward. So a casualty of that is games on Monday will not be discussed, but that's one game a week, and this allows for some more consistent scheduling.
Who's Arsenal playing tomorrow in that game?
Who would it be? Who have I not seen play this week? Oh, Sheffield.
Okay, yeah. I don't think we need to say that we're missing
beat the shit out of Sheffield. Dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna play some spread bets on that.
Arsenal. All right. What's the score prediction for that one?
4-0. Kai Havertz gets 1 goal.
I was gonna say 5-0, so I'll go with 5-0.
Yeah,
for that one.
They've been putting up so many goals. It seems crazy. But yeah, I mean, they could easily put up 5 or 6 in that one, I think.
Yeah. Sheffield they're so bad. Well, and that's the thing. Like we talked about, man, we're like getting back into like analyzing the games, but Chelsea's win on Leeds. I think you were a little hard on them. Like Leeds is a good team. They hadn't lost in a very long time. And they are a PL team that got relegated. They should be in the PL. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's episode. Thanks for tuning in. It's again EPL match week 27. We'll be back for 28 next Sunday at 3.
All right, bye,
Have a good one, everyone.